Conklin and Company with 13 ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome into not MASH, but another edition of Conklin and Company, certainly with a MASH theme today. Today on the program, we're going to look back at last weekend, Veterans Day weekend, and the Heroes Homecoming in Fayetteville, North Carolina, home to Fort Bragg and the tribute to Korean War veterans. 13 ABC photojournalist Kevin Binding and I were there as the stars of the iconic television series MASH came to honor those who gave so much for our country. My interview with Toledo's own Jamie Farr in just a few minutes. But first, my conversation with Loretta Swit, who of course played the role of Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan, and William Christopher, who we came to know as Father Mulcahy. We recorded these interviews on Veterans Day. The MASH stars and their careers, what they're up to now, and most importantly, why they spent this whirlwind weekend in North Carolina. First of all, thanks to both of you for taking time out to talk with us this morning in the midst of a whirlwind Veterans Day weekend.
A whirlwind breakfast.
A whirlwind breakfast.
Well,
incredible day yesterday. Loretta, let's start with you. I just want to get your
how can we
reflections.
resist, though, taking a special hello from Toledo?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we cannot resist that.
Yeah, just your reflections on what this weekend has been for you so far.
Oh, joyous, wonderful, just so satisfying and delicious, and heartbreaking in many ways. But the turnout was spectacular. The joy the vets had seeing us and talking about the show, enjoying the show they did, and it was wonderful, moving and joyous.
Yeah, but Bill, yesterday was a special day in that park. That 2 hours, people couldn't get enough, lining up. Some people had to be turned away.
What we remember, I think, about the park right now was all the autographs, because that was a marathon session. But
Yes,
it was nice to have some MASH questions, talk about MASH, and it gave us a chance to say a little bit why we're here. And today, of course, is the 11th, so today's Veterans Day, but this whole weekend has been dedicated to the homecoming of heroes, or Heroes Homecoming, as they put it.
Right.
And this is, as we talked about, the forgotten war, the Korean War, and that's the special part of marking this weekend.
You both spoke, I thought, eloquently from the heart yesterday. Bill, of course, you were in the Army. And Loretta, you're in the midst of never the same POW experience.
Yes, and I've been to Korea. I went to Korea twice, and when I talked about how cold it was, I actually had that experience. It is the coldest place on the planet in the winter, and many of our men died from frostbite. I mean, it's something people should know. It's something that should not be forgotten, how they served, what they gave, and we should eternally celebrate that. We should honor them and be grateful.
That is a theme I keep hearing this weekend from the vets, is that it truly was the forgotten war, but things have turned. What do you, how do you explain that things may have turned around, that our country does appreciate our veterans of Korea and Vietnam?
It's getting better. It's getting better. It's got a long way to go to be good, to be great.
Yes, I think we, as a nation, have woken up pretty much to the fact that we need to do a lot more for returning veterans. And I talked to a psychiatrist last night who works for the Army, and he talked about the difficulty, especially for those returning who have psychiatric problems and want to stay in because they don't want to speak of it. They don't want to admit to the problems. But we're getting more accepting, and both in civilian and in Army life, I'm sure.
There are thanks in this community. There's no doubt about that.
It's
this military-rich
wonderful,
community.
yes, the passion and the care.
Yeah.
We were very moved by that. All of us commented on the passion this community has, and God love you, God bless you for doing that and organizing this and giving us an opportunity to get that out there. People pay attention.
And I think your appearance is making news across the country and creating more awareness. And,
Great.
And we can't forget that we're still in a conflict. So
Absolutely.
we still have men coming back in terrible shape, and we hope that the year to come will see the end of that, men facing death on a battlefield.
In the film, we deal with that to a large degree. The POWs, for example, who were released and then thrust into civilian life is an impossible situation. With half their body weight gone and not knowing anything of the outside world for 3.5 years and being treated like slaves for all that time.
It is moving and chilling at the same time, Loretta, to watch.
Yes.
Never the same.
And many of them who did survive committed suicide. They could not cope because they could not live with their nightmares. And we were not prepared to do our best for them when they came back. There was no rehab. They just came back and they were with us. And you can't do that. And we're learning more and more about that, thank goodness. And the more we learn, I hope the more we can do to make that happen, to have a rehabilitation and a process where they can re-enter and not have nightmares.
What made you both say, yeah, I want to come to Fayetteville, North Carolina for a 3-day weekend, fly 1,000 miles, spend a whirlwind weekend? Bill, what made you say, yeah, I want to go do this?
Well, you know, when I was offered the chance to do it, I would hardly think that I'd want to say no. I don't live my life in guilt because I'm not doing enough, I suppose. But you know, when you get a chance, and you've been on a show like MASH, and you've had just a wonderful part of your career has been devoted to telling the story of some of the story anyway of Korea, and then you're invited to be, as a MASH person, come and be a part of this. I certainly, there was absolutely no doubt about wanting to do it. And I've been in Fayetteville before, working as an actor, and I've visited the VA hospital, and I know that it you know, the guys really like it. They really like it. They like our characters, and it's pretty uplifting to some fellow who may be going back and doing another tour. You know, we have to buck them up as much as we can and support them as much as we can.
Yeah, Loretta?
Well, echo what Bill said. It wasn't our idea, you know, to choose this area. It was proposed to us as an idea, and of course, like Bill, who could not want to do this? We wanted to be a part of it, Jamie. Yes, the identification we have with MASH is so strong, and the values of that show were high, and we represent that in a way to them. And what better way to show how we feel about them than to come here and be a part of this celebration.
And you expressed that yesterday, and it's clear that you have great fondness of the show. Sometimes when there's typecasts and stereotypes, those are, stars want to put that away. But you embraced it. You embraced it.
You don't have a big choice. However, I, like Bill, also worked at Cape Fear Playhouse and with Bo. And the two characters I did couldn't have been further afield from Margaret. So there's still that audience out there who enjoys seeing us do different things. Bill and Jamie, for example, did The Odd Couple. An odd couple.
We played Toledo. We played, not Fayetteville, but we played Toledo, so maybe people know that.
All three of you have enjoyed long careers after MASH, but if we can talk just a little bit about the show, at what point did you feel this is not only a hit show, this is an important show?
It was very immediate, mostly because of the chemistry, the first group, the first day of rehearsal. There was just a chemistry and electricity. We spoke the same language, and we had the same ideas about what the show should be, should represent. It should never be a commercial for war. You know, it should have moral values and.
You felt that at once.
It was pretty immediate because Alan Alda had met with Gene Reynolds and Larry Gelbart, and they thoroughly discussed what the goal of the show was going to be. The thrust of the show was going to be about doctors who were doing an impossible job, and because it was so impossible, they did crazy things, and that's what you laughed at, but you never forgot why they were being crazy, because war is terrible.
Did you feel it was immediate,
Well,
Bill?
no, yeah, I think so. But because I wasn't part of, Loretta was one of the original 6, and I sort of got added in. Father Mulcahy, there was a little switch after the pilot, and I came to do the work in the first season as Father Mulcahy. But, you know, I knew that people like Larry and Gene Reynolds and some great writers and some wonderful directors who came through that first year. 20th Century Fox wanted to make something special out of MASH, and I think when the idea was first proposed to do MASH as a series, some people at Fox were dubious, but there were, I can't name names, but you probably can. There are a couple of people who really believed that this was an important story to tell. They thought it'd make a great series, and they were right. When we finished that first year, MASH wasn't quite the runaway hit it became.
No, not at all.
And I left early because of the party on the closing night. But Barbara and I were going off to a concert, I think, and Alan walked to the door and he said, "You know, we may not see each other again. We maybe I'm saying goodbye." And I thought to myself, I think he's wrong, but I don't know. We can't tell. We didn't know that MASH should be renewed. But of course,
we were way down on the numbers, but they found us. Our audience found us during the summer watching reruns, and then so did the critics. And after that,
11 years later, and 125 million viewers on that 256th episode. I guess you made it.
You know, that first year, there were some serious shows all of a sudden, some very serious moments in MASH. And I think Fox was maybe a little nervous about it because they weren't sure that audiences were going to go with it. But
it's a tough time, right? Vietnam is just ending.
Well, it was more than that. It was a sitcom. I hate that word. It was a situation comedy. And to do a show like Sometimes You Hear the Bullet and see Alan cry about the death of his friend, and have McLean Stevenson say something like, "There are 2 rules in war. Young men die, and the second rule is doctors can't change that, can't fix that." And so that's very heavy stuff for a situation comedy to be dealing with. Then we went further dealing with issues, alcoholism, or Alan had written Comrades in Arms for his character and my character to be lost and kind of find each other through the animosity that they shared over the years, still fall into each other's arms because they were terrified. And he told me, we did it in year 5, he said, I wrote it early in our run, but the audience, they felt, was not ready to accept that relationship. But we started to develop this strong relationship with our audience. We were family. At a certain point, we could do anything, right, Bill? We could, we had a retrospective called Our Finest Hour, because with this tapestry of the family was there. Families were sitting down together to watch MASH.
In closing, and talking about a family, I noticed yesterday the remembrances of Harry Morgan there were numerous mentions of Harry Morgan. Maybe you can speak, and you can feel that, Loretta, when you all spoke of him.
Yes, he was very special to us. And Loretta, let's say, is the one who really always got us together. After MASH was over, Loretta would sort of get around to each of us and say, it's time to get together, have a dinner together. But Harry was always very much a part of that. And after Harry's death, I think we really haven't carried on that tradition so much, but we're going to.
Wow. Yes, we're going to get back to it.
Loretta Swit and William Christopher. When we come back, Conklin & Company continues with my conversation with Toledo's own Jamie Farr. Humble and at times emotional, right after this.